Okay, you guys ready to get this started?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Yes, we are ready.
Take two. Okay, here we go, guys. All right, welcome to the Hermeus podcast. First time host over here, but can I call myself creator? No, I can't.
Yes, you can. It was definitely 100% your idea.
Okay, all right.
Like, I was a skeptic of the podcast. I was like, we don't have time for this.
The first time I heard that, I was like, I've got to be in front of the camera.
So, yeah, I mean, I've been hearing your guys' voices in my head, not only doing these podcasts live, but also in editing. So, like, this voice I'm hearing right now, it's like, oh, yeah, this is my home. This is
Your
home
home
sweet
slices.
home. Yeah. But anyways, my name is Marty Berman, and I'm going to be hosting this podcast. We're talking about hard tech. What is hard tech? So first, let's do some intros. We've got one new face to the podcast. So you know me now?
Two new faces now, but yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
I can't. That's why he's the creative,
this is
not
what
on the
Marty
math
looks,
side,
this
right?
This is what Marty looks like for all the people who...
hi, y'all. But yeah, Skyler, go ahead. I'll start with you, and we can go
sure.
on to after
Yeah.
that.
So I've been on a few. Founder, COO, technical background in avionics software, kind of all things electrons, guidance, navigation, control, that kind of stuff.
Nandu Shah, VP of Information. One of the few people here with no aerospace. My entire career has been software.
Yes, and Glenn Case here, the CTO and founder as well. Been on the podcast a couple of times, but I'm probably the hardest of hard tech. So at least the guy that's built the most, engineered hardware in the group here. So this will be fun of considering what is it.
Yeah, this is a great panel right here because I think we've got some, software folks, hardware folks, and then obviously Hermeus as a, we call ourselves a hard tech company. I think one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this is because hardware is so important to Hermeus. Like, it's one of the core parts of our brand, getting to hardware quickly and then building physical things. But, all right, because there's no real definition of hard tech, deep tech, I think we should start with Wikipedia. Just like for everyone who's listening to kind of understand, hey, why are we talking about this? Why is this interesting?
Because that's why where everybody goes to start the design of a part anyway. It's like, what is Reynolds number?
So
nobody does that here at Hermeus. I'm just hopefully.
We had someone in an interview read the Wikipedia definition of a thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is that how high school
they
papers start?
Did you just hear the clickety clack of the keys?
Yeah. Well,
Like,
not anymore.
papers used to start with, Webster's defines deep tech as.
That's right.
And now it's Wikipedia instead.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, no, now it's ChatGPT.
Oh,
yeah.
That's a dangerous one.
Yeah. That's true.
That might be where this is
We'll
going.
go right there. Yes.
But according to Wikipedia, deep tech or hard tech is a classification of organization, or more typically startup company, with the expressed objective of providing technology solutions based on substantial scientific or engineering challenges.
Ooh. So wait, deep tech and hard tech are the same thing based on that definition.
Yes.
Interesting.
And as the marketing guy, I much prefer hard tech because of hardware. Deep tech, I don't know. They certainly both mean the same thing, but it's my job to make deep tech go away and hard tech be a thing.
I don't even think they mean the same thing. I don't care what Wikipedia says.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, because I feel like there's a categorical difference between hardware focus and like things that require research or engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, fair. I don't. Not so much hardware focused, but like actually impacts the real world.
So involves some sort of actuation against the real world. Like there's an effect happening in the real world.
There's something visceral about having something in your hand and being able to feel, touch, the emotional connection you can have with some hardware versus software that might just be an app or something like that. And not killing the whole software thing here already, but just when you can feel something, right?
Yeah,
that's a much different aspect. And we talk about this a little bit about what we do here, at Hermeus, compared to a lot of folks that work here have come from the rocket world. And, when you're doing a small launch vehicle, it's really hard to connect with that, right? Because you'll never fly on it or things like that. But being able to be in an aircraft and envision yourself flying from one place to the other, there's this emotional connection that you have with things that you can actually hardware that you can experience and interact with.
Okay, so this is a great place to start because that's where my gut goes to as well. Hardware, physical things. But then here comes Nandu stopping over and saying like, well, hold on a second. OpenAI is clearly hard tech. I'm like, well, I mean,
That wasn't my first stop, by the way.
okay.
Like it was. There's a company that makes self-service laundry robots. Right.
Uh-huh.
It's a vending machine form factor. You put your clothes in, and there's a robot inside that does your laundry for you in about 5 minutes.
Mm.
And I believe the conversation we had went something like, "That's robots. It's hard tech," and then you were like, "But it's laundry."
Well,
Yeah. There needs to be something, I think, cutting edge. I think.
or it's like it's almost like a complicatedness, right? It's like
Yeah.
I think the reason why Wikipedia or whoever wrote the Wikipedia article like conflates deep tech and hard tech is because there's an implied complicatedness of the system itself. So I think it's like I think in that point it's possible that especially if there's like some hardware breakthroughs necessary for a chat GPT to function or like some of the analog computers that are coming online. I think that is a place that it could be hard tech, but it's like I think it's the overlap for me is like the Venn diagram of like physical tactile things that you can touch or experience alongside the like complicatedness, and that's the engineering point which I liked about the definition.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't want to get stuck on this laundry robot, but if we were to make a call, I mean, laundry robot, I mean, physical hardware. Now, but capital intensive, I think, is another important thing about this. And I'm not so sure you need to raise billions of dollars to create a folding laundry robot. I could be wrong. Maybe make one to like do extremely well mass market.
I mean,
maybe
you
but-
never know. I mean, what if it takes a lot of money and time and effort to set up the factory that's required to create all these robots that could service a massive market, right? Who knows?
Well, let's zoom out on that for a second. When you talk about the actual timeline, where do you start? For instance, all four of us here are wearing these very handsome wristwatches.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look at us.
We all have them on. Oh god.
Yeah.
Are
Way to call us out.
are these hard tech?
Oh, and for the viewers,
Yeah, we should explain that.
Yeah,
Please.
the company gift this year was a Timex watch that says Hermeus on the back and matches our color palette, matches our aesthetic. Very simple, clean face. It's pretty great.
Next time we give out a watch, it's got to be a
Speedmaster.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll have had to have done something very speedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right,
We
good.
will have.
Well, yes, of course. All right, of course.
But to us, these like the actual manufacturing of one of these wristwatches isn't. It's not intensive. It's not time consuming.
There's a lot of precision associated with it.
There is, but 1710, John Harrison made the first spring-operated clock for navigation at sea. Right? I mean, longitude was a thing that people had known about for centuries at that point, but no one could reliably determine longitude at sea. The clocks existed, like with like pendulums, but those aren't reliable at sea, right?
Yeah.
That's a very long lead time from we know how to measure time to we know how to do it at sea, right? Our wristwatch to someone in 1710
Was hard tech.
yes,
Okay, but certainly we wouldn't call it that now.
correct.
Okay.
So
Okay.
is there an aspect of like unsolvedness into the definition,
Yes.
right?
Of
Where it's like
newness.
I've heard frontier tech as well.
Yeah.
Right.
What is the space, an overlap of that? Maybe it is the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when I think about frontier tech or maybe even deep tech, I correlate those a lot closer where it's just like if we're talking about genomics research, right? Where there's not necessarily a hardware aspect to it. You might have some machines that need to support the experiments or what you're building, but the product itself isn't itself a tactile thing. And that's kind of the delineation that I think makes sense to me of between deep tech, frontier tech, and hard tech, which
So
is the
it's
space
a-
we play in.
A subset of frontier tech and deep tech is hard tech.
I think so.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Okay. Did we just come to an agreement? I mean,
Oh man.
we're
Show over.
Actually, no.
Done.
No, never mind.
I actually really like it though. I mean, I'm okay. I like this. I've never heard frontier tech. It makes total sense. But separating deep tech from hard tech solves our conundrum, Nandu, with like an OpenAI, for instance. Like an AI thing, right? Like they're not building consumer or even customer hardware, but clearly there's a ton of hardware that goes into all the computing and servers to make say Chat GPT run.
Something about that makes me unhappy, and I want to recant,
Okay.
but I can't.
Oh.
You recant.
I read. Yes.
Got him.
You re-
Got it.
can't.
Anyways, I think we could say that's deep tech, right? Because
I think we'll all agree that ChatGPT is deep tech.
Certainly.
okay, all right,
Yeah,
cool.
I agree with
great.
that.
All right, great. Because you all know what I'm after here as the marketing guy is I'm trying to, kind of create an ecosystem of hard techness.
Right.
Like we're trying to grow that brand at Hermeus, and then also trying to, I don't know, kind of get some friends along the way, right? Like who else can we kind of, I don't know, partner up with in little ways and kind of create a new ecosystem?
Hey,
Because
Marty, you know how I feel about partnerships.
oh, that's right.
Vertical integration only.
There's something there though. I mean, for instance, New Space,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's like a group of New Space companies, and we kind of are in there, but kind of not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's an interesting thing, again, does it change our company, whether we're in this bucket or that bucket? No, not at all. But I think the way that we talk about ourselves publicly, it does.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the things that's
Yeah.
kind of interesting about hard tech.
Yeah, with the New Space example, I've had a hell of a time trying to figure out what is the phrase to expand or to generalize, like new arrow, new flight. New flight is okay.
I
It's
like
at least
New
two
Flight. I've been pushing that one
Yeah?
amongst the industry.
Why
Yeah.
not New Arrow?
because it just doesn't
Too
roll
many
off
syllables.
the tongue. It's too many
simple.
Too many syllables.
two arrow. It's not hard enough. It's not hard enough
Bam, bam.
syllables. Yeah.
New space.
New space.
New flight.
New flight.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction now.
Oh.
Y'all may know or may not. My degree is in classics, which is why I will talk to you about what things are in Latin and Greek. But if you think about words that we all consider to be earthy or concrete, they tend to be Germanic in
Okay.
origin, like flight.
Mm.
The Greek and Latin words tend to be more abstract, like arrow. And I
Ah.
think that's why New Flight resonates with us in a way that New Arrow does not.
Mm. There's like a firmness or like a
That's good enough for me. Like I wanted to fight you guys, but now like having that reason, like, all
it's
right,
pretty good.
we have a reason for it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, Nandu, I have a question for you. Coming from software companies most recently, like many software companies, am I right?
A few.
Okay. So now in this company with hardware, a hard tech company, how has that transition been and how are you enjoying it?
It's been fantastic, and I love it. Right? There's an added dimension to everything here. I mean, and that's the hard
Aha.
part,
Literally.
right? Literally.
An added dimension.
Well, yes. Right. There's going back to working purely on software. I haven't even been here a year, right? And I'm already a convert. Like going back to working on pure software no longer interests me.
Yeah. I've got, I feel the same way. Not that I necessarily work for a software company, but as, a photographer, videographer, I'm drawn to hard tech companies because I can take pictures of physical things, and usually the big shiny things is a plus too. It keeps things really dynamic for me. So like as like kind of a creative, walking into a factory space that's always changing and always has something different on the floor is really rewarding.
and one of those early unboxing videos that we used to put
right.
out, those were fun.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean, the first
The
hardware
ASMR
came in.
unboxing videos.
That's what we gotta do more of those.
I think the cool thing too is that it's not necessarily only hardware. Like we talk about being hardware forward or hardware centric, but it's like because that is the thing that tends to be different. But it's also like how do you write software that supports the hardware? So it's like none of it can really exist in in a vacuum. We're past the point of fully hydromechanical systems. Like on the J85, we replaced that terrible analog controller, and like with
the
with
T5
our own
controller.
right. And so we can have digital control of like the exhaust gas temperatures, and it's like absolutely enabled by software, right? There is no, it's only hardware, but because we're in the modern era, we can actually like apply modern software to it, and it's really the like combination of all those things that really leads to like breakthroughs, even in very simple ways, like replacing an analog resistor, inductor, capacitor based control circuit with a digital control circuit.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why we say, get to hardware quickly is because the lead times associated with, hardware and the cycle times tend to be more than software, right?
Mhm.
Because you can fail fast in software. Matter of fact, that's
Challenge
usually
accepted.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But hardware tends to have some lag because you all have to conceptualize it, analyze it, do the GD&T associated with it, have it fabricated, bring it in, assemble the things associated with it, and then integrate all the the software and everything to make it move. What we really mean by get to hardware quickly is get to that integrated system quickly
Mhm.
so that we can fail fast.
Drive the cycle time down.
Yes.
Increase your OODA loop in the hardware level that has already proven itself in the software world.
Right.
Yeah, I'm thinking about something that we just did, which was wind tunnel testing. And, again, I'm not an engineer, so I was like, hey, guys, can't we do this digitally? Can't we just use CFD?
That's spicy.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we
yes,
can.
and we do. We
Yeah.
do.
Right.
We absolutely do the whole digital engineering thing, right?
Yeah.
That's certainly something that's within our core competency here at Hermeus. We do the analysis. However, we do not do the paralysis associated with it, right? So there's no replacement for experimentalism to some degree. You can't be fully experimentalist. You can't be fully analyst, not in this field at all, especially when the bounds haven't quite been explored. We have mere maybe minutes at hypersonic conditions in total in U.S. research. So what sounds better, doing more analysis, or let's go and create more experimental data?
Mhm.
The latter sounds better for me, and a better balance of resources for a startup to go execute on.
A lot of those principles are shared though in the software world, right? It's like the agile principles of like getting a piece of code out in front of your customers, getting direct feedback. That's the empiricism of like software, but as applied to hardware, right?
100%. And that's something that's always it's more fun to do things that way, right? Like actually like put something together, play with it, test it. I had a friend once. I was telling him this was early days of Twitter, and he was asking around like, I don't get Twitter. What's it for? How am I supposed to use it? And I was like, set up an account and try it, right? I was like, what? Why are you like asking people when you could just go try it? And he goes, oh yeah, those weeks in the lab will save you hours in the library. And I'm like, but the weeks in the lab are more fun, and you will learn more than the hours in the library.
Ooh, I have a feeling, Skyler's got something to say about that. I mean, right? It's going to, in the long run, save you time.
Yes.
Certainly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anytime, like the purity of learning that happens with testing or in like, and we say lab here, and I want to extrapolate to flight because there's, based on NASA, readiness levels, TRLs, lab is actually like not even the full, like the gold standard is flight data, right? Really making sure that you get to the most realistic version of the data. And with what we're doing, especially when you're pushing into the corner of an envelope so deeply, the uncertainties that you have on your system do not transcend. Like you can't account for all the uncertainties in a way that actually closes. You have to go find your way and find places where you were over conservative and use that to find the places where you were under conservative and backfill and work your way through it. To try and explicitly do it just from like, from analysis from the book, you just can't get there when you're really pushing in the corner of an envelope of a place, because it's like those spaces have already been walked before. And that's what makes our job particularly difficult is, you can't just go look it up, but it's also the place where the value is, because if you can find the right approach, if you can do it incrementally, if you can bring the capital in a way that aligns with the technical roadmap, then you can really get to all those kind of corner cases of the envelope.
Yes.
Yes. All right.
No, I more succinctly, which never happens, by the way.
Yeah, it's usually the other direction.
You can't design a Mach 5 vehicle with the appropriate amount of uncertainties without go flying something.
That's right.
Yeah, and flying a lot,
Mhm.
I'm sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right, so getting back to kind of a hardware focus, I thought it might be cool to go to our roots, particularly the two aerospace engineers here. Hardware. I'm guessing that's a big reason that you became an engineer. Is that fair to say? Glenn, can we maybe hear your story? Like, what is it about building physical things that put you where you are now today?
Yeah, I think, my origin story here in the aerospace world was night test of a space shuttle main engine. I was viewing it with a co-op from NASA at Stennis Space Center, and I was kind of excited about it. I was kind of thinking about aerospace. I was a mechanical engineer at the time at Tulane University, and was super excited about seeing it, but really hadn't bought in. And then the fiery depths of hell came out of the flame bucket, and I was like, I'm sold. How do I get a job here? Interned there for 3 years, and really got to learn how to be a test stand monkey, and just turning wrenches and designing. They gave me way more accountability than I've had any right to have at NASA. Jacobs Technology to be exact, but it was it's quite a thing that I've the smell of Krytox and grease and and especially now the Jet A in the morning, it is a thing. It really is a thing. Matter of fact, my wife still complains about some of the shoes that I have from the seed round days of just being doused in Jet A because we were just fixing a bunch of leaks or things.
Here's another prerequisite I would like to add on to whether or not you're a hard tech company. Again, I'm
is it
making these
smell?
up. Yes,
It's gonna be
smell.
Smell.
4D.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
so that way, there's another dimension.
I was
Machine
about-
metal actually has a smell to it, right?
100%.
Machine, like you walk over there at our machine shop, you
Right.
smell the cutting fluid,
Yep.
and it's just it's
Jet
yes.
A and cutting fluid.
Oh.
That's what we need.
Yeah, and, no, it's not Jet A. It's the French or the American cologne Jeté.
Eau de Jet A.
I saw that written on a whiteboard. I was wondering what that was about. There was a J apostrophe.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, the smell of a factory is not something you get at a software company.
Certainly.
Right. All right, Skyler, hardware,
Yeah.
aerospace.
So-
what's your story?
Yeah. So, starting college as an aerospace engineer, most of the aerospace engineering degree, it's probably like 75%, mechanical engineering. There's like so much overlap with it. Even like the electronics classes to have you be a well-rounded engineer are the same that you'll take in a mechanical set of coursework. But, then it just comes down to like some special projects within aerospace as kind of a different flavor. But actually like, it was the hardware that actually drove me into software. So it was my deep desire to understand how to make things happen, right? It was like, how do I make this system do what I want it to do? And so it was more so about like making the actuation happen, making it be effective at what I needed it to be effective. And the place that drew me was like the controls aspect, right? Being able to write a piece of code that can actuate a thing that does a thing that you want it to do, or plan for different routes, or plan for different contingencies, or account for uncertainties and make up for them in a feedback loop. All of those things. And at every step, it was like, oh, for me to be able to go farther and be able to do more individually, I have to learn more software and go deeper on the kind of electronics and avionics and software side. So it actually like was my deep desire for actuation, hardware actuation, that led me down the like software path, coming from a primarily like mechanical background.
That's cool. Software for the sake of hardware.
Yeah.
That's cool. Nandu, why didn't you do a hardware company? Why didn't you get into hardware?
I don't know if I have a good answer. I will tell you that the world would objectively be a better place if everyone knew how to code.
I agree with that. Yeah. Yeah,
But-
that's pretty true.
But I mean,
They
I-
teach that in elementary school now. They teach
Really?
the kids.
Yeah,
how to-
not when I was in elementary school. I taught
Oh,
myself
me
to
either. Yeah.
I taught myself to code when I was 8.
Oh, you remember like typing classes were a thing back
Oh,
then.
I never learned
It
to
was just
type.
like they put the paper on top,
Yeah.
and you couldn't look at your fingers.
Yeah, I didn't.
So-
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do any of that. So the answer to why not hardware, software was what I always did. I did it for fun in high school. I wrote code. I played with stuff. I didn't have time for hardware.
No, it makes me a better engineer. Period. And I think we ask that of everyone. Even on the mechanical arts and other aerospace arts, is that you need to learn how to code, right?
Yeah.
Because one, you need
At least
to make
scripting.
Yeah, you need to at least be able to script.
Yeah.
To create good, tools, software tools that you can go back and visit, 6 months later down the line, and you're like, well, what did I write here? What is this doing? Right? Having good basic principles on how to make great scripts, great code that can be integrated in other things is important outside of just, hey, I can do some GD&T and I can make hardware. It's actually the whole. We really do want the full gambit of folks that can do the conceptual design, analysis, and then that analysis is making it quick, right? Obsolete yourself, where you don't have to go through the manual thing. That's where scripting and coding come in, and then making the drawings and installing hardware. You want somebody that can do the full product life cycle.
Mm-hmm. I think it's also like been relatively recently that the ability to like play around with hardware and like tinker with hardware has become a thing. So even like to the extent of like Arduino's coming online, that sort of like technology is like the place where software and hardware collide. Hasn't been around for a long time. It's like you kind of had to have some expertise. I guess this is like ham radio might have been a place where it sort of collided. But now it's like you can build your own quadcopter and write the control system for it, or have one off the shelf and you can modify it. There's like the Piccolos, the little flight computers that you can put on and modify the gains and tune things. It's like all of that has come online in like the relatively recent past and has given people more access to be able to do what you did with code, but in a way that they're doing it more so at the hardware level. And I think that's really, really cool. And then there's like, there's like BPS space. It's a YouTube channel devoted to, basically like pushing the limits of what you can build in your backyard in terms of rocketry and small avionics that go on basically model rockets that now have a lot of capability. And it's like, it's cool stuff like that anyone can really do, or at least get started into.
Yeah, I guess nobody uses Fortran anymore, huh?
I avoided
it. I miss it.
For good reason, bro. Come on.
It's so fast. It's so fast.
It is very fast.
Almost all CFD codes are.
Oh yeah. Well, all the linear algebra libraries on Python are built around the Fortran library.
Yeah.
So they've been saying, for maybe, I don't know, I guess 20 years now, like software's eating the world. So maybe software needed to eat the world in order for us to kind of have this research of hard tech companies. Is kind of what you're saying.
I didn't say that. I think that's better than how I said it.
Okay.
So but that's awesome. Like, and I definitely agree. It's like, well, it unlocks, and to the point that we were talking about earlier about expanding the envelope or pushing deeper into the corner of the envelope, it does allow you to get there. Both from the like analysis side, it gets you in the neighborhood closer and sooner for cheaper. But then even still, it's just like we can be more precise with our control laws. We can be more precise with getting performance out of every little bit of the system. And I think that's where it starts to get exciting, is like take modern computation, modern analysis, modern software, and reinvent the approach that was successful in the original Skunkworks days.
Well, I think also in the 70s, 80s, 90s, there was such a push for globalism and farming out manufacture that there wasn't this emphasis on making things here in America. And we did absolutely during the .com and, years after that, focus on software because that's where the easy money was. And now we've seen this massive resurgence on making things here in America because of automation and coding and things like that have made producing things cheaper so that America can once again be a leader in those manufacturing types of technologies. So I think it's quite interesting that, how the market forces have kind of swayed what hard tech means in America.
Do you guys know whose birthday it is today?
I don't.
Kelly
Is it your birthday? Oh.
No.
Happy birthday.
I wish myself a happy birthday on a podcast. Kelly Johnson.
Really?
Today is Kelly Johnson's birthday.
That's awesome.
This podcast is going to come out, and it's not going to be Kelly Johnson's birthday. But today is, and you just brought up Skunkworks, and so Kelly Johnson was kind of the leader during the golden age of Skunkworks. Is that correct? I don't think he founded it, but he was.
Right.
Maybe he did. I don't know.
Absolutely the iconic figure that led both the kind of like approach for design and analysis, but also how to like construct teams and arrange work so that you could really get stuff like just across the board, like winner.
My favorite thing about him is that where they had the tent placed or whatever, you had to go. He ensured that you had to walk through the machine shop to get to your desk.
Wow, that's.
I want to do that in our next facility.
Yeah.
Wow.
The entrance will be through the machine shop. Sorry if it takes you a little bit longer to get there, but you'll be a little bit connected. You see the machining fluid flowing, machines turning, hardware being made, and it puts a little pressure, schedule pressure on everyone. I love that.
Wow. I didn't hear that. That's great. Yeah. I mean, so with this hard tech resurgence, there's a lot of private capital going into these bigger bets. We talk so much about Skunk Works, so much about the 60s and kind of like the golden era and the golden age of flight. Is that what we would, I mean, that's what we hope that's what we hope we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's what we want to see.
Right.
But
the halcyon days. Is that
yeah, right. We want to see
The
that.
halcyon era.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But let's sit on that for a little bit more. Let's think and talk about what a new golden age of flight would be like if we can get, to kind of cranking out airplanes in different iterations, not just us, but as an industry too. What does the next golden era of flight look like?
I think it's quantity, right?
Yeah,
I think
100%.
that's what we've missed. Quality is on point, right? We can create, our industries that are set up right now can create extremely high quality aircraft, right? And look at the number of accidents and everything have plummeted historically, right? Because we create safe, very, very high quality aircraft. What we can't do anymore is create quantity, right? And you can't just create quantity and no safety, right? But I think creating quantity.
Can you give us an estimate of like how many how behind Boeing is, for instance, on their orders?
Oh,
I
actually don't know that.
I don't know that off the top of my head, but
It's
I
a
think the
big
big-
number. It's a big number. It's a scary big number.
Is it?
Or-
Do you know the number?
No, I don't. I
Well,
don't. I
I
thought maybe you guys might.
I think the more visible one or like obvious one was what AJ shared with in the state of the
Yeah,
company.
exactly.
Right? It was the
Okay.
number of, because there's two flavors of quantity, right? There's the flavor of quantity, which is just like total raw production, which
Right.
is important as well. So that is a major aspect, is getting to US based production of aircraft. But the other side of it is production of brand new developments.
different
Right.
model numbers.
Right.
Different
Got it.
model numbers, right? And so that's, when you see that image of, it's in the Pentagon, of all the different new development aircraft that have come out, it was like there was a massive amount, and it peaked in like the 50s and 60s, and then just
Fell off a cliff.
asymptoted
Just completely
to
fell off,
basically
yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting to that throughput of both production but also new developments,
Yeah.
and maybe even trying to combine them to where like the production line allows for flexibility and improvement over time, in the same way that software, you're not shipping, just the same thing to everyone. You can experiment more, and it's anti-fragile to like improvements.
And I think
you saying-
I think we are on the cusp of this, though. I mean, you see a lot of the eVTOL, even just electric aircraft. There's some things out there. I think we're on the neighborhood of establishing that again, but somebody's got to win so that more money is being poured in the venture capital community.
That's right.
So it sounds like what you're saying is the airplane, like the wristwatch, is maybe no longer hard tech. And so we need to increase the pace of innovation
That's right.
to keep it hard tech.
That's true. At least the requirements for the airplane have made it not hard tech, right? It's a pretty solved problem. Not to throw too much shade, but maybe a little healthy amount of shade. There was a recent Gulfstream announcement that we were watching just to see, and it said, expect the unexpected.
And we were all
like,
expecting
oh
a
my God.
supersonic Gulfstream.
Are they doing it?
I was like, yes,
They're
please.
gonna do it. They're gonna
do
do
it.
it. And then when it came out, it was just like, and we brought back the 400, and I'm like, that's expected. I was like, that's exactly, and it's a great airplane. Like, I'm not even throwing, like, it is a high quality airplane. You can trust it probably to do exactly what they said it was going to do. And that's awesome. And they are a high quality airplane production company. A little bit of a miss in terms of the storytelling, in my opinion. It's like, be what you are. It's like, we guarantee this shit'll work would have been a better tagline.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Instead of the letdown.
yeah.
for
But
sure.
like,
I watched that thing for an hour
yeah.
waiting for that.
no, they got you.
Yeah.
It got me.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Maybe airplanes itself is not hard tech, but within that, let's get more specific. Hypersonic aircraft, certainly.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, right.
Never
You
been
add
before.
heat to anything, it's harder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
My grad school professor would always say, David Spencer, he would always say, aerospace engineering is just, complex engineering in harsh environments. And that's all it really is. It's not anything specifically. It's nothing more than that. It's, temperature, pressure, atom stuff, problems, complexity.
Yeah, it's mostly for a hypersonic aircraft. comes to the wide operating conditions that you actually have to operate across, right? If you have a point design, I mean, it's easy, right? If you have to design a vehicle that goes 1 mile an hour, well, that's a pretty easy, relatively easy thing, and it needs to go me to you. I can go design that. Now, some of that goes 3,300 miles an hour, but not only 3,300 miles an hour, but also has to go from 1 mile an hour, 2 miles an hour.
Right.
That's
what makes it hard.
That's what makes it hard.
Big shots at big industries. I think that's another way to think about deep tech, hard tech. I did not coin that. I read that online somewhere, but that sounds about right. And I'm curious, you guys.
I agree.
Yeah, you guys have been. I mean, there's two things I'm interested in. One is kind of the founding story at Hermeus, and were you purposely taking a big shot at a big industry, and how important was that? And then also, after you answer that, I want to talk about like chasing venture capital and how that's what that's like.
So wait, big shots at a big industry. Does that mean that crypto is hard tech? Because the financial sector is a big industry.
But where's the hardware? Where's the hardware?
Okay, hardware.
Kind of frontier.
Yeah, or deep.
Yeah.
So if it's not just hardware, but impact in the real world.
No. See, this is where I disagree.
Yeah.
You could say that about any company has a big impact, like physical impact. I'm talking. Yeah.
Airbnb.
Right. Not a hard tech company, according to my definition.
No, I agree. Airbnb is not.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think the founding of Hermeus. I think looking back at it now, almost what
four and a half almost
years. 4.5 years. Man, a little bit of naivete, Which
I think you have to have for a startup.
I think you do have to have that. We did the back of the all the calculations. Is this possible? Yes. From a first order perspective, zeroth order perspective, it's possible. What I don't think we had a great grasp on at the time is how hard it would be to sell into the government or the business plan associated with it. And that's where, while the technical challenges are so hard, the business side of it is also hard.
And it's not just doing the business side; it's aligning the business with the technical. I think that's an important part about hard tech is like it tends to be very expensive. And then the question is like, okay, how do you finance it? And like the product market fit has never really been too much of a challenge for us. It's like obviously fast airplanes at the right price point is a yes. Then the question is like, how do you get to the point where customers are cutting you checks for it, right? And I think, but like I could see the same sort of thing with like pharmaceuticals, right? Where it's like very, very expensive and you're not going to make a penny until it works at the end or it doesn't. That one's got to be even harder and you have also huge regulatory challenges, somewhat in the same way we do, but probably even an order of magnitude or 2 orders of magnitude higher just because it's like affecting people on like a broader scale.
Well, at least at that point you have, a bunch of different customers similar to Amazon, right? That you have a bunch of customers paying for your development. We have one.
Unless the FDA says no, though, and you're
That's
just
true.
Fucked.
Yeah, the regulators.
So how much of it, the founding of Hermeus, how much of it was disrupting aerospace, and how much of it was I want to make an airplane that's never existed before?
It's hard to separate those.
I know.
So it's like one thing that Mike always says when we were talking about the starting the company, and I really subscribe to, but it was from Peter Thiel's 0 to 1, where it was like, what do you know to be true that everyone else would disagree with? And I think that's where we kind of came to, where it was like, okay, we see how, new space has been disrupted first with satellites and then with rockets, and that was working. So you can kind of extrapolate it to other industries. It was starting to hit with the electric vehicles, and now it was like, oh, there's nothing really in the high-speed space. A couple of early days players, Boom Spike was still doing things, and I think Arion was still there, yeah. And so it was just like very, very early, not a lot of hardware yet, but it was just like, okay, this is a very nascent thing that's definitely going to happen. So you could see the writing on the wall. Then the question is like, what limits can you take the existing technology to? And that's where we took it. And it's just like, okay, if you were going to play in this high-speed space, how are you going to fund it? And that's where we kind of landed is like, you can't go slower. So for us, it was like the speed aspect and then never having existed before really was our only way to do it without being billionaire founders in terms of financing it.
I mean, it unlocked the business plan.
That's right.
It's the dual use nature of the technology that it really unlocked. Right. If you go slower than Mach 2, like 2 or 3, maybe 3, but slower than 2 for sure, there's just not a lot of military or dual use nature to the technology. So it's really difficult to wrap a business plan around raising $6 to $10 billion for a commercial jet. Right now, that's a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm. All right, I think I got a couple last things for you guys. All right, Nandu, how are you going about recruiting software engineers for software work at a hardware company? And what's working? What are these folks seeing when they realize that they're getting to actuate something on an airplane? What's getting them excited?
So first of all, not just recruiting, but friends, people I know. I invite people to come have lunch, coffee, tour the factory, because nothing sells Hermeus like Hermeus.
The CTO breakfast,
right.
That was good.
Yeah. We just seeing the factory, smelling the Jet A. That's a powerful sales tool in itself. And then also
and by the way, regulators, we don't have just Jet A just spilled around here. It's just vapor that has, it's fine.
Machine fluid in the factory.
Everything's fine.
It's like 27, yeah.
And then also, like for me, most people who have software careers haven't worked on hardware products, right? Haven't contributed to a hypersonic airplane, right? Say Mach 5. One of the guys on my team, all I had to do was say Mach 5 airplane, and he was ready to come start.
Yeah. I think it's also that sales point paired with there's just so much we have to do here, right? It's we're building not only the airplanes, but the machine that builds the airplanes. And a lot of that comes down to internal applications and software that we have to build that is just business support software. And it's we can pull that. We don't have to only pull that from aerospace companies. We can pull it from any industry, right? They're our in-house, we're building an ERP in-house, right? And it's because it takes a lot of customization to get an ERP to work. So we might as well build it up from the bottom up and customize it for what we need, right? You can pull people from a lot of industries who have expertise and experience with that. And it's okay, I could either build ERPs for a fintech company or a SaaS company, and that's probably cool, but it's but this is really cool.
Well, I say that a lot, is that we actually aren't building one company. We have to build a lot of companies that operate under the Hermeus roof, right? We have a machine shop.
Right. A business by itself.
Yeah, we have an engineering, organization. We have, shipping and receiving. We have, assembly line and things like that. There's so many businesses that we have to run. We can't just be good at one business. We have to be good at multiple businesses.
Mm-hmm. And that's the burden of vertical integration.
Yes.
Right? It's a burden, though, that allows you to more actively control your resources. And it's a trade that you have to make. And you sometimes have to horizontally integrate because of capital expenditures. We can't build a huge machine shop, but it is something that you have to be conscious of. And we bias and err towards bringing it in-house when we need to develop it.
I like it. Yeah. Let's keep building this out. Give me more things to photograph.
Oh, you're getting in trouble. You're going to have a lot of things to photograph here shortly.
Good. There we go. I feel there's so many different places people can work, so many awesome places, but we have a privilege to be in aerospace where they literally make movies, blockbuster movies about what we do,
that video that they aligned it with Top Gun of the mode transition. So dope.
I've got to go talk at my alma mater. I'm definitely using that one.
Nice. Yeah.
One.
It's hard not to get excited. Okay, so we all love aerospace. We all love fast airplanes. Hard tech is awesome. Yeah. What would we be doing if in hard tech, if not Hermeus? Whether you're founding a company or just want to work for a company, what needs to be disrupted? What hardware do you want to make?
I don't want to. I don't want to let people to know. What's our viewership?
We don't have that many viewers.
It's high hundreds, low thousands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless it pops off, and then it's a couple thousand.
I had this thought before, and I might execute it when I sunset myself because, I want the next business that I do. I just want it to be a family like
lifestyle business.
lifestyle business.
Mm.
That way I don't have to all the struggles and trials and tribulations associated with growing a massive company. So tubing.
Oh yeah.
Hear me out. Tubing. So tubes. You need them. Everything. When fluids have to go from one place to the other, and this is a big,
Oh my God.
this is a big industry, right? So we need to automate the way, and this is a lot of software on it, right? It's hard tech kind of, but it's
not
how do we?
No, this counts. This counts.
No,
it's like Hadrian for tubes.
Yes, Protolabs for tubes.
Protolabs for tubes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it's that's what I'm gonna do.
That's good.
I'm gonna do it.
You put a natural language interface on that,
Okay. Yeah.
and now it's hard tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll call up Sam Altman and we'll get.
I'll
audio speech recognition on
cut
that.
you in. When you do that part of it, I'll cut you in.
Deal.
Do you have one?
I don't have time for that right now, though.
I don't. I mean, to be honest, this is why I'm not a founder, because like I either have zero imagination or I want to work on a faster than light engine, and like neither of those is going to be successful. Zero or faster than light.
Both
Yeah.
not likely to be.
Right.
Not likely, especially the latter.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think I've talked about it on the podcast, but mine is airships. Airships all
Oh,
day,
God.
baby. Hell yeah.
Slow roll it.
Slow. Just like we went from hypersonic to super slow.
Clearly
Hell yeah.
hard to shoot down.
Super hard to shoot down.
Oh, yeah.
It's like good dual use technology. And
What?
if yes.
Oh well.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
that's right.
Super heavy
That was
lift.
proven, I guess.
Super heavy lift.
Okay.
And you can also like make it super clean because you don't need that much energy to move stuff around as long as you're willing to take a lot of time. Yeah, super heavy lift. So basically it's like, hey, across the Atlantic, it takes 2 days.
Probably made that solar, huh?
Could be solar. It's at least charged solar on the ground. And then you cross the Atlantic in 2 days. Super slow. And it's like a cruise. And it's just like, that's it.
Good view.
Good view.
So not hard tech.
That's hard tech.
I would say that's hard tech. I think so. If it's
What's a
innovative.
Cruise liner?
what's-
an air?
Yeah,
a
that's-
cruise liner in the
Cruise
air.
liner.
Yeah.
Like if you made it super bougie,
oh yeah.
Well, of
That could
course.
work.
Skyler?
Come on. Of
Of course he would.
let's talk
Yeah,
about
you know what
this.
time it is.
We can do this.
Yeah, that's really cool too because I love big things. I love feeling small,
Oh, dude.
and so like an airship factory, like big. Oh my God.
I know there is something I think lost about the days of like the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
Like there's something so like monumental about an aircraft carrier and being up close to it. It's just like, man, being a part of building something that scale and like an airship
Yeah.
would definitely do it. It's like that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But like now someone's gonna steal
although
it.
the thing is that part of the airship that you actually walked in would be relatively small.
Oh yeah.
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 Most of the thing that you manufacture on the airship is, fabric.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I would probably do. I mean, there's probably so many I would like to do, but like probably space habitats
Okay.
because you can
Like
mix
on orbit or like on the moon? Or like on
both.
okay, yeah.
Both. It'd be cool if like, you probably start on orbit, and
Yeah.
then the company will later have plans for the
Mm.
Moon and Mars. But that's
Could have
what's
gone
fun
to work
about-
at Bigelow Aerospace. Did you ever think about that?
Oh,
Yeah. no, they're cool. No, they're great. Yeah. That's-
R.I.P. But yeah.
I don't. Oh, they're done. They're
Yeah,
done. Now? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. They didn't. I remember. I feel like
They
didn't
had
do
had
too
something.
much.
They built something on for the space station, which is no
Yeah.
joke.
That's right. It did inflate. It
Yep.
got up there. That's right. That's pretty cool. But I like it because it's like design. Like you can put a lot of thought into like user interface, but also like actual like
the
design.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There needs to be a space aesthetic. There is,
As-
but
as
like it
much
would be
as-
cool to create your own space aesthetic at a company.
I
As
changed
much
my
as
mind.
Huh?
Not faster than light engines. Robotic exoskeletons. Like
Ooh,
something
that's
I
pretty
can
cool.
wear.
There you go.
Yeah.
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 As much as I hated that Apollo was canceled, but the Skylab was pretty
Right?
gnarl.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite things in like museums when you see like, because it was like a big, I don't know, it seemed a lot bigger in diameter than the space station, right? Like there was like a big
It's a
lab to
yes.
float around in. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So much to play in, like so much you could do when designing a space habitat. Like as far as things to consider, be a really fun problem.
There are startups doing that. Do we need to worry
Oh,
about
yeah.
you leaving?
No, don't
You're not going to go to Vast. What was
Don't
it, Vast?
worry about it.
Gravidics is
Was it
one
Vast?
too.
Didn't
Yeah,
they
Vast
just-
is one.
They just
yeah.
bought Launcher, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
There might be another one.
Well, we're gonna have plenty of cool things to do too. Like the cabin of
Oh,
Halcyon.
I can't
Oh, yeah.
wait.
The cabin of. We already took a rough stab. Oh God, we put like what we had like 1.5 hour meeting. Okay, what is the interior of Halcyon going to look like? And we got a good artist to sketch something up. And we realized, oh man, we need to put a lot more thought into this.
I'm going to
Just
stir
get
it
a
up right here.
just a rough sketch.
Have you looked to put a cabin on Dark Horse yet?
Oh no.
Shh.
Oh, okay.
In terms of the cabin, I think one exercise that's super fun is like sitting on an airplane and realizing if you were only on it for 90 minutes at most, what do you not need? It's like the question of like what you can take away is such a more interesting one of just like, okay, does the seat need to recline? Maybe not. Like, do you need a full galley? Maybe not.
No.
Like, do you need windows?
Well, I say yes.
Maybe not. I mean, like if people were keeping them down, especially for red-eye flights, they keep them down the whole time.
I mean, it's
Well,
it's a marketing thing.
We
People need to feel
windows.
like they can.
We do need a window at least for the flat earthers.
Yeah, that's right.
Though they'll just say
So they can be right.
You
So
just
yes.
bowed it.
Yeah, so they can be right. You know what can have giant windows is an airship.
Yes.
There you go.
You can have the best view. Just make a
Yes.
whole glass
Cupola.
floor.
Yeah.
Is this
So-
this is your
Oh my
master
God,
plan?
That
You-
would give people anxiety.
Yeah.
you're gonna use the Halcyon cabin as your prototype for the airship.
Maybe. No, it's like it's a fun question to sit and just be like, do you need that? Do you need that? Do you need that?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff you wouldn't need, and it would save a lot of money.
Well, you know what? When you look at orbital tourism, this conversation had up at another company that I was at of just if you didn't actually stay in orbit that long, if you only were there like, 1 or 2 orbits, you can get away with a lot and not having a lot of the ecosystems, right? It's that once you get above 3 hours, now you need to start having things that, full up bathroom, things like that.
Right.
That, if you're only there for an orbit or two,
Right.
and really people just want to go over where they live, see it, and then come back.
Yeah.
Do you think people might? This may sound weird, but do you think people might want to experience some claustrophobia? Hear me out. Like think about the cockpit of the SR-71, for instance, right? Or the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, right? Like it's tight, like right. That's part of like the whoa. Well, this is here we go.
Or
Get ready
Mercury.
for the or a roller coaster seat, right? Like there's
Or even
something
like a pressure suit.
yeah.
I don't
So-
think
I don't
for
want-
a real passenger experience, but
I don't want to
Yeah.
feel any of those things when
All
I
right, fair enough.
yeah, no.
Yeah, you're right. We probably shouldn't optimize it for feeling like you're a fighter pilot.
Oh God, no.
I guess we shouldn't. But
Although I have talked about, the transition when we, go from turbojet mode to ramjet mode on the propulsion system. This is like there's 2 ways that we could figure this out. We can either do it the smooth way, which is probably low performing, very long, easy on everyone. Or maybe we have it a system where the passengers can vote. Should you do it the fast way?
Yeah.
And it's just like slam.
That one is like Top Gun, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
there could be
switching
a
modes.
countdown.
I mean,
Oh
that's
my
going to be
God.
quarter horse is the fast way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. Cool. So many fun problems to solve once we get into the Halcyon days. Cool. Well, this has been super fun. I think we've solved the definition of hard tech, and because we've distinguished. We
That's right.
separated it from deep tech. So I think that was very
Mm-hmm.
clutch. One last thing. We want to promote something coming up. Skyler, what's happening in March? What's
For all the folks that are
Martin,
going to be
Texas.
in Austin, Texas at South by Southwest, we're going to be doing a panel where we're talking very similar conversations, but not just with Hermeus folks, with some other industries. So Lauren Lyons from the rocket industry, now working on some of her own projects. Joy Dunn from Commonwealth Fusion Systems, fusion energy company, and then Casey Handmer, who's from a renewable carbon capture fuel generation company. So we're going to be talking about all kinds of things. It'll be on the 2050 track in South by Southwest, and it'll be a good time. We'll talk through some stuff, see some like commonalities between what we do at Hermeus, what other companies are doing, see the similarities, but then also all of them kind of like interrelate in terms of like what a future could look like in terms of hard tech and So the title is Atoms versus Bits. A lot of similarities to what we talked about here, but it should be a good time.
Yeah, that'll be good. So more of this conversation to come. So we'll be sure to share that on our YouTube channel once that's filmed. So
Sweet.
it's been fun.
Sick.
All right, guys. Thanks for chatting.
All right. Till next time.
Yep.